Welcome to our character overview video for Blazblue Cross Tag Battle. I'm Doc Caesar, and in this video I'm going to give a quick overview of all of the characters currently in the game. Hopefully by the end of this video, newcomers and people in character crisis can find the characters that fit them best. Let's get started. As the main character of the Blazblue series, Ragna the Blood Edge is a very fundamentals-based rushdown character. He has a solid set of normals and special moves that allow him to mix up and pressure his opponents. His 5A is a really solid button that is good as a poke or combo starter. Ragna has some good anti-air options with his quick 5B and reversal action, which is his old Infernal Divider special move. He is one of only 2 characters in the game that can steal health from his opponents, but its effects are somewhat offset by the universal red health regeneration of off-screen partners. Unfortunately, he lacks a true projectile, so he must rely on assists and good reads to push his way past long-range zoning. Ragna is a great pick for beginners looking to learn the basics of the game. As the archetypal Shoto of the Blazblue series, Jin is a jack-of-all-trades character with a tool for every situation. His normals have decent reach and are fairly fast. He has decent pressure and a deceptive overhead in his 5C. His best special move is probably his Snowflake. It's well worth the bar it costs, as it provides him with good space control, pressure, and opens up many combo and setup opportunities. Jin's Toga distortion skill is one of the best super moves in the game. It's quick, covers nearly the entire screen, and does massive chip damage during resonance plays. In terms of support, Jin boasts arguably the best set of assists in the game, making him an excellent addition to any team. Noel is a fairly unique close-range rushdown fighter that utilizes invulnerability during her assault. Her former drive, Chain Revolver, returns as her B normal attacks and auto combos in this game. Once up close, her Chain Revolver attacks provide her with solid pressure and mix-up options. These attacks provide her with invulnerability to specific attributes while they are active. This can be very frustrating to deal with for players who lack the matchup knowledge. Despite having many invulnerable attacks, Noel cannot simply bully her way into close range. She lacks the normals to fight at mid-range or strong projectiles, so she needs her assist to help her close the gap. Rachel is a setup character that needs to establish her tools on the screen before she can really play her game. She has a good zoning game with her Lobelias and its extensions. One extension turns the Lobelias into bats that home in on the opponent, while the other triggers them as lightning rods. Rachel has a unique ability to control the wind to change the trajectories of her projectiles or propel herself in multiple directions. Her wind manipulation allows her to perform Tri-Dash-esque mix-ups. At the cost of a bar of meter, she can place George on the screen to slowly chase down opponents. If successful, he inflicts massive hit stun or block stun on the opponent, allowing for easy pressure, mix-up, or combos. Rachel can easily use her zoning tools to mount her scary offense, which consists of some of the best pressure and mix-up in the game. Her 6P assist allows her to set up some Lobelias while covering airspace for her teammate. If you like frustrating opponents by filling the screen with objects to control space and set up scary mix-ups, then you should definitely consider adding Rachel to your team. Tager is the more traditional grappler of the cast. He is not very mobile, but wants to get up close and personal to land his damaging mix-ups. He lacks all forms of a dash except for a backdash, and also lacks a double jump. He somewhat mitigates the loss of mobility through a few forward advancing attacks and his magnetism. Just as it sounds, Tager's magnetism allows him to bring his opponents to him. With meter, Tager gains access to Spark Bolt, a very fast projectile that wall bounces the opponent for full screen combos. While his attacks are a bit slow, Tager is equipped with several invincible attacks and guard points on his 5B. If you like playing the traditional grappler role and devastating opponents with command grabs, Tager is the choice for you. Nu is a strong keep-away character that excels at controlling space and keeping her opponents on the other side of the screen. She primarily summons swords to use as projectiles that she can fire at many angles. The swords can easily convert into damage on hit and lock down the opponent on block from any range. While she is not a strong fighter up close, she does have good mix-up options. Act Parser can be used as a movement tool or another mix-up tool. And you will need to make good decisions when choosing the right zoning tool, or you could be open to punishment. She struggles to get heavy rushdown characters off of her once they get in, so maintaining your space is crucial. Nu should be a good pick for you if you are a fan of Gilgamesh from Fate Stay Night or just harassing your opponents from full screen with projectiles. Have you ever wanted to play as Spider-Man in a fighting game but Marvel vs. Capcom wasn't anime enough for you? Well, Hazama is the perfect character for you. Hazama is a hidden run style character with excellent mobility. With the exception of his 2B, his B normals all activate his Ouroboros chains. The first button press sends the chain out onto the screen, acting as a long range poke, while the second press launches Hazama through the air. He can zip around the screen pretty fast using his Ouroboros chains to approach or escape. As a trade-off for this mobility, Hazama can only perform a short dash instead of a run like most other characters on the ground. While the chains give him strong, long-range pokes, his normals up close are very lacking in range. Utilizing his stance mix-ups and command grab are key when up close to open up the opponent. He also packs a powerful distortion skill in his Hotenjin, which serves as a damaging reversal that your opponents will have to respect. Like Ragna, Makoto is also a fundamentals-based rushdown fighter, but with an emphasis on pressure and damage. Her 5A is a solid poke and her 5B is a reliable anti-air. Makoto has several attacks from her asteroid vision that grant her frame advantage on block. Unfortunately, half of them cost meter. Her mix-up is lacking as she only has one quick low attack and one grounded overhead, but she does gain some cross-ups with an assist. Her damage is good, so she can make her opponents pay for their mistakes during frame traps or neutral. She does have a projectile, but don't expect to enter a zoning war with it. It is better used as a counter projectile than a zoning tool. Makoto needs to rely on patient play rather than all-out aggression in order to be successful. Platinum is a well-rounded character that utilizes a wide variety of items to fight with. She can switch between zoning and rushdown quickly and has a good set of normals to play neutral and pressure with. Her projectiles are solid zoning tools and they cover good angles. For 1 bar of meter, she can use a special move that makes her invulnerable to everything besides throws. She is one of the few characters with an install super in this game. The install enhances the properties of her items by making them larger, increasing damage, and improving their juggle properties. Her 4P and 6P assists have Platinum use one of 3 items at random, which can make them somewhat risky calls. Her install super also enhances these assists, as well as giving the hammer assist and 5C and unblockable shockwave. If you like using characters that can seamlessly transition between rushdown and zoning, give Platinum a try. So I heard you like damage. Azrael embodies the powerhouse character archetype. When this character touches you, especially with a bar stop, you will watch your health bar and hopes evaporate. Despite all of the manly damage this character has, he does have his flaws. His neutral game is poor and his buttons tend to be slow. Azrael trades the traditional run with a teleport and dash as his ground movement. The teleport passes through opponents and is invincible for a short period. His best mix-up options are cross-ups with TK special moves out of his teleport. His unique mechanic is his weak points. These act as pseudo just frame inputs added onto certain attacks that enhance the properties of his moves. To help deal with zoning, he has Growler Field, which absorbs projectiles and sends back a projectile of its own. Azrael also has access to the powerful Blackhawk Stinger distortion skill that can plow through enemy attacks and cross the screen incredibly fast. Unfortunately, his assists are lackluster, but ask yourself if that really matters when you can make your opponents explode. S is another good all-around character, but leans towards zoning. Her normals have good range, especially her air normals, giving her a solid mid-range game. S's projectiles are very strong when used properly, allowing her to play a strong long-range game as well. She has multiple formations that she can shoot them in, and when they combine, they dominate other projectiles on the screen. She has a variety of mix-up tools between her multiple overheads, lows, and command grab. Unfortunately, the special overhead and the command grab are mostly combo filler because they are very risky to use for mix-up. Instead, her 5C and instant jump B are her primary overhead options. Her jump C grants her strong Oki after corner combos. S also benefits from having a solid set of distortion skills. She does suffer from having a lack of strong pressure, as she doesn't have many Gatling options or jump cancelable attacks on block. S deals good damage, but is somewhat reliant on assists to get it. Her own assists are very good, which helps her to synergize well with others and fit onto any team. As the original damage powerhouse of Blazblue, Hakumen excels at mid-range poking and dealing extremely high damage when he touches you. Rather than rush down opponents, Hakumen opts for a more defensive style where he zones his opponents with his great pokes and punishes predictable offense using his counters. Hakumen has several unique abilities to the game. The first is his ability to cancel special moves into other special moves at the cost of 1 bar of meter. The second is his ability to cut projectiles with his sword attacks and leave his own projectile on screen instead. The projectile will eat other projectiles while it is active, including super moves, and damages the opponents who come into contact with it. He has a very strong super move called Yukiko that can counter strikes, throws, and projectiles. The trade-off for these strong tools is that he has slow attacks, poor mobility, and a large hurt box. His ground dash is just a short hop that can only be cancelled into special moves. Hakumen is a good pick for players that like the idea of being a tank that holds his ground in neutral and deals massive damage. Jubei is a mobile rushdown character that specializes in mix-ups. Jubei is unique in that his crouching animation leaves him in a standing state. He has quick but short-ranged attacks to utilize up close. He has a variety of mix-up tools, including a special move overhead and low that he can use to throw off his opponents and open them up. He requires an assist to convert most of his mix-ups into combos, but his combos tend to lead into good Oki situations. Jubei has a fast run and can cancel his backdash into a quick forward dash. By pressing forward twice, he can do a quick hop forward that can pass through opponents and projectiles. This opens up even more mix-up options when combined with an assist. His air movement special move is invulnerable while he is traveling, but leaves him vulnerable at the end, so be sure to call an assist when using it. Like most close-range rushdown characters, Jubei can struggle to get in against zoners and characters with strong normals. If you want a somewhat unorthodox mobile rushdown character, then consider picking up Jubei. Ruby has just about everything you could ask for in a character, which makes her a very popular pick right now. She has very strong normals that are difficult for many characters to challenge due to their combination of range and speed. Ruby also has strong pressure and good mix-up options, which include her instant air jump C overhead. If that wasn't enough, she also has pretty fast movement speed and 3 command dashes that have a hitbox at the start of the dashes. Using these, Ruby can quickly move forward or backwards, and depending on whether she is grounded or not, she can move in a 45-degree angle downward or upward. Ruby is capable of passing through her opponents with the command dashes, which gives her even more mix-up options. Her projectiles travel across the screen fast, but due to some lengthy recovery and the B version slow startup, she doesn't have a very strong zoning game. Ruby also makes a good partner as she has a very versatile set of assists. You can't go wrong if you pick up Ruby, wanting an easy character to learn or a character that has nearly every tool in the game to succeed. Weiss is a mid-range poking character that wants to control space with her fairly long-range normals. Her 4A, 5A, 2B, and Jump A are all good pokes to keep rush down and climbed opponents at bay. She has some unique special moves with her Ice Pillar and Ice Shard. The former summons an Ice Pillar that blocks opponents from passing through it. The pillars can absorb a few hits from attacks, however, they can be jumped or broken. The Ice Shard special move summons a glyph onto the screen that will shoot a projectile or leave a black glyph on the screen if the button is held. When her third special move, Glyph Dash Strike, is used near a black glyph, then she can cancel it into 1 of 3 follow-up attacks. Once set up, her glyphs can be used for decent OP setups. Glyph Dash Strike can also be feinted for some gimmicky pressure strings. Weiss is also equipped with a counter that she can combo off of, but it costs 1 bar of meter. Unfortunately, her projectile is very slow, and she lacks good overheads for mix-ups. Her assists are also underwhelming, so she doesn't provide much support. Mid-range zoning is Blake's forte. Her very long-range B attacks control space well, and she also has solid range on her A attacks too. Her B attacks have a unique mechanic where the move's properties change if you hit with the tip of her weapon. 2B gains more hit stun and damage, while 5B gains damage and floats the opponent. Landing tip hits are vital to many of her combos. Jump B will not hit an opponent unless the tip of the weapon comes into contact with them. Blake can create clones of herself that take on different properties depending on the button used. The A version is a stone clone that absorbs 1 hit. The B version is a shadow clone that spreads a mist capable of making Blake mostly invisible when hit by an opponent or her assist. The C version creates a fire clone at the cost of a bar meter, but when activated by an opponent or her assist, it explodes and launches the opponent into the air for a combo opportunity. Despite having such long-range normals, Blake is a tricky character to deal with up close due to her hard-to-see left-right mix-ups from her duality strike follow-ups. In addition, Blake offers great support to her team with her strong assists. She is a more technical character than most, but is very rewarding for your efforts. Yang is the rushdown focus fighter of the Ruby cast. She is primarily close range as her normals generally lack the range to fight anywhere else. Her 5B and Burst of Embers special move have armor during the middle of their active frames, allowing her to absorb her opponent's attacks and continue her assault. Unfortunately, the armor will not absorb blows or projectiles. Yang's pressure is good, and she has a solid projectile that can be fired from the air or ground to disrupt zoning. Her mix-up options are a bit lacking despite having 2 command grabs. Like Azrael's Black Hawk Stinger, Yang's Burning Gold Distortion is a very powerful super that can be used to punish most attacks, even from full screen away. The biggest draw to using Yang is her semblance that causes her to enter an empowered state when her health reaches danger status. In this state, her punching attacks are all enhanced with an added projectile hitbox, extra hits, and more damage. Most of her special moves are also enhanced with more damage, and she can even combo off of her cold shoulder command grab. Her combo damage takes a huge leap when she is in power too. If you like close range fighters, installs that bring out your character's full power, and Dark Phoenix-like mechanics, then you should try out Yang. The Persona characters all share an important mechanic that they brought over from their franchise. Each character is equipped with a unique persona, which is essentially a second character that acts as an extension of the character that summoned it. Be careful when using certain persona attacks because the primary character will be damaged if the persona is hit. Like most other protagonists, Yu is an offensive-focused, all-around character. He has a tool for every situation, including his good normals, solid mix-up options, and projectiles. 5A is his bread and butter normal due to its combination of range and speed. 2B is a solid anti-air that is also used as a pressure starter due to it being jump cancelable on block. Yu's Jump C and Swift Strike act as mix-up tools and mobility tools, allowing him to cross the screen quickly. Ideally, these moves should be covered by an assist because reckless usage will lead to punishment. Zio is Yu's projectile that he can shoot from the air or the ground. The EX version can be held and eventually allows Yu to move while his persona holds the projectile. EX Zio is able to outright beat or clash with most projectiles in the game, including some distortion skills. making it a great tool to discourage zoning. He's relying on meter or an assist to get damaging combos since he doesn't get much without using resources. His Zeodyne distortion skill is essentially a full screen beam that locks the opponent in place for several seconds. Yu is a solid teammate for most characters as he also has solid assists. In typical protagonist fashion, Yu is a great choice for beginners looking to learn the game. Yosuke is a character that switches between hidden run tactics and airborne mix-ups. He is all about mobility and possesses several moves that either launch him into the air or move him around the screen. His moonsault, V-slash, and jump C are crucial to his air game. V-slash moves Yosuke in a V-shaped angle, forward or backward. He has an active hitbox during the move but cannot cancel it into any other air actions. Moonsault has him flip either backwards or forward through the air with some slight invulnerability. From there, he has the option of canceling into V-slash or crescent slash, which is an overhead. Jump C is a low attack that grants him full invulnerability until he reappears. Before Yosuke reappears, Jump C can be cancelled into both of his air special moves, and it can be cancelled after he appears once he makes contact. Utilizing all of his air tools, he can create some tricky mix-ups and become an annoyance for opponents to deal with. His ground game is less impressive due to his fairly short-range normals and lackluster reversal. Once he lands a hit, he does have some good damage. Give Yosuke a shot if you want to float like a butterfly but sting like a bee. Chie is a close-range rushdown character. Her normals tend to have short reach compared to the rest of the cast, but she has solid options when she gets in. She has strong pressure thanks to her many Gatling options and a very high number of jump cancelable attacks compared to other characters. Her 2A is a good low that can low profile many attacks. Her 5B has decent range and is the longest range poke. And she lacks a projectile, but she can use Herculean Strike to help her close the gap when covered by an assist. The EX version is plus on block, but you have to be mindful of its lengthy startup. And Chie has two interesting distortion skills. The first is Agnyastra, which has her summon meteors that lock down the opponent while Chie can move freely. The meteors can rain down in front of her or go full screen depending on the direction of the input used. The other distortion is Charge, which is an install super that can massively increase her damage. It has two additional levels that can be obtained by holding down the buttons or reactivating the install. During Resonance Blaze, the third level can be accessed directly by holding the buttons on the initial activation. Each level gives her a larger damage increase than the last, and by the time you hit level 3, you will be able to do 13k damage with one A auto combo. Kanji is the second grappler in this game. Unlike Tager, Kanji has all of the universal movement options available to him. Despite that, he is still slow in comparison to the majority of the characters. Kanji has several command grabs at his disposal that allow him to mix up or anti-air his opponents. This'll Hurt is his primary command grab for mix-ups, as it is fairly quick but short range. His Gotcha command grab serves as an anti-air attack that can be used on a good read or with assist coverage. Bet You Can't Take This is an aerial command grab that can snatch airborne or standing opponents. His Burn to a Crisp distortion skill is a powerful command grab that can be used for mix-ups or as a reversal. When it comes to the neutral game, Kanji lacks a projectile, so he will need to rely on his assist to help him get in. He does have good reach on many of his normals, but they tend to be slow. His reversal action is an odd case of being both good and bad. It's active for a long time and will shock anyone that comes into contact with him while it's active, and he can combo off of it solo in some situations. Sadly, his short range often offsets its utility, and Kanji's assists are decent, so he can be a good teammate for most characters. As one of the few pure zoners in this game, Yukiko wants to keep her opponents out and harass them with projectiles. Yukiko has many zoning tools at her disposal. And 5A sends her persona out onto the screen to attack, acting as a pseudo projectile. Using her 5A again after Yukiko recovers allows her to move her persona full screen. Her B attacks all have her throwing her fans at many different angles. And pressing either forward or back with 2B and jump B will cause her fans to be thrown at a different angle, and doing so with 5B changes their speed. 5BB has her throw a second fan, but it adds to her recovery time. Orie creates an explosion that can be delayed if the button is held, making it act as a trap. If Orie is used while her persona is already on the screen, it will increase the range of the attack. Miragi sends a low-hitting flame across the floor that turns into a pillar of fire on contact or at the end of its range. Yukiko is uniquely able to heal herself with her reversal and her partner with her 4P assist. Much of her game plan revolves around her flame boost mechanic, which boosts the damage of her fire attacks at the cost of some of her health. Aside from the flame boost special move, she can also boost her fire levels with her 6P assist. The fire levels remain throughout the duration of the match and have a maximum of 9 levels. The stocking fire levels is crucial to help her offset her usually low damage. Aegis has access to some of the best solo mix-up in the game thanks to her Orie dash, which she can perform by tapping forward twice. In neutral, the dash costs 1 bar of the Orie gauge as long as you cancel it into something. Pressing up or down will adjust her height during the dash. Utilizing the dash allows her to perform fast overhead, low, and throw mix-ups. To make this even scarier, Aegis can cancel into Orie dash from any of her normals besides 5C at the cost of 2 bars of Orie gauge. This essentially makes any touch a potential mix-up as long as Aegis has resources. When the gauge is empty, Aegis will be unable to use the Orie dash for several seconds. And thankfully, she has a zoning game to stall while her Orie gauge is replenishing. Holding her 5B and 2B sprays bullets into the air, allowing her to control space. Her Blast Gatling special move essentially acts as a full screen beam that destroys most other projectiles, but when used in the air, she shoots bullets downward instead. Holding the B version doubles the amount of hits and builds a louder meter. Megiddo Fire allows her to convert most stray hits into a combo at the cost of 1 bar meter. Despite her strengths, Aegis has subpar mid-range pokes and mediocre assists. If you like mix-up heavy characters that can rush down or zone effectively, try Aegis. Naoto is a hybrid between zoning and rushdown. She has many ways to control the screen between her normals and special moves. Her 5A and 5B are good ground pokes to use in neutral, and 2B is a good anti-air. Her Jump A and Jump B are both good air normals that most opponents have to respect. The Snipe Aim is a stance that she has 5 options from. Pressing A, B, or C fire shots in 3 different angles. Tapping forward twice during Snipe Aim will make Naoto roll forward, but it leaves her in the stance at the end. It can pass through opponents and has some invulnerability. Pressing back during Snipe Aim cancels the stance. Naoto has 2 traps that she can place from the air or ground using her Hair Trigger Megiddo special. The A version places a trap in the air at her position, the B version places a trap on the ground just in front of her, and the EX version places both at once. The traps activate on contact but can be destroyed easily by most attacks. Naoto's reversal is especially good at countering projectiles, even against multi-hitting distortions. The most interesting thing about Naoto is her ability to instantly kill her opponents by applying a Fate Mark. She can only mark opponents by hitting with the SP Pistol Beta Distortion and the enhanced version of SP Pistol Alpha. Once marked, Mudo On and Hama On will instantly kill if they hit an opponent. And while this process will cost 4 bars a meter in total, it is incredibly satisfying to pull off. The Under Night and Birth characters have the unique ability to cancel a normal attack into any other normal attack as long as it has not been used already in the chain. This is usually called reverse beating. This ability grants them fluid pressure strings and allows them to keep most strings safe by canceling into a 5A or 2A. 5C does not follow the reverse beat rules, however, as it always ends your chain. Hyde is a very well-rounded character with strong normals for pressure and neutral. His 5A, 5B, and 2B are all standout normals. 5A has good range considering its speed and it can be jump cancelled. 5B is your go-to normal to swing around in neutral and bully other characters with. It has great range and the auto combo follow-ups give him great conversion ability on awkward hits. And 2B is a strong anti-air with great vertical range. When utilizing reverse beats, Hyde has a strong pressure game that is fairly safe. Hyde has a unique ability to apply chip damage on block with his sword normal attacks. The chip damage can really add up over time and becomes very dangerous in Resonance Blaze. His strong pressure and chip damage is balanced by the fact that Hyde's mix-up is lacking. Hyde has good damage and corner carry in his combos, but is somewhat reliant on assists to get it from poking range. His Black Orbiter projectile is solid, and the EX version tends to beat other projectiles on the screen. Hyde's assists are good, with 5P being one of the better combo extending assists, and 6P being his EX Black Orbiter. Hyde should be a welcome addition to any team. Linne is a fast rushdown character that also has a tool for most situations. While her normals are generally suited to close range combat, her 5B, 2C, and 2B are solid mid-range pokes. 5B is a strong all-purpose move serving as her best poke in anti-air and launcher. Linne's 4A is a very fast attack with a surprising amount of range on its second hit, and several of her attacks can be dash cancelled on hit or block, allowing her to keep up pressure on her opponents. Arguably, her best tool is her Skyfang projectile attack, which can be done from the air or ground. The ground versions can be cancelled into a dash even on whiff. The air version is the version you will be using the most, as it is a strong zoning tool and provides her with cover as she moves into close range. Her mix-up options are solid with her Flying Swallow overhead and Whirlwind Roll. The roll passes through opponents quickly and has invincibility. And sadly, her assists are mediocre and her damage is probably the lowest in the game, even when she uses assists. The other member of Team Scythe, Gordeau, is a mid-range space control character. He has several large scythe attacks to use in neutral. His 5B is an attack with massive range but long recovery on whiff. Be sure to cancel it on block into something safer like 2A or cover it with an assist. 2B is a great anti-air that hits low on the first hit. Grim Reaper is a special move that controls a large portion of the mid-range, but it typically should be covered by an assist. Gordeau's 2C is a slide that has good range and can be made safe with reverse beat. While his mix-up options are lacking, he is equipped with his Assimilation Command Grab special. The A version grabs grounded opponents while the B version grabs opponents out of the air. Assimilation also steals a little bit of meter when it connects. Due to his lack of options in neutral and somewhat slow speed, he can struggle versus zoners without good assists. His zone assists are pretty good, with 6P being able to steal meter and it has long range. His 5P is Grim Reaper, which gives his partner great lockdown, space control, and combo extensions. Gordeau is easy to pick up and play, making him a good choice for beginners. Orie is a character that uses her pokes to win neutral and start her offense. Despite generally being seen as a poking character, she really only has one notable ground normal to poke with, but it's very effective. That poke is her 5A, which has good reach, is fairly quick, and can be jump cancelled on block. Jump A is a strong air poke that most characters won't be able to contest. While Divine Thrust A and B can be used as occasional pokes, the EX version is the one you will be using the most. EX Divine Thrust is a very fast, nearly full screen lunge that is plus on block and can be easily confirmed into a combo with an assist. Her 2B is a solid anti-air, but be mindful of the dead zone above her head. Orie can summon a persona-like partner called Thanatos during several of her attacks. Her grounded A version of Command Order summons Thanatos for a low attack. In the air, both versions of Command Order are overheads. If you TK the A version, you will get a quick instant overhead. Orie is very self-sufficient in combos, but could use assists to help her get in against characters with stronger neutral. She does have a full screen projectile distortion, but both of her distortions are unsafe on block. Overall, she is a strong choice if you want to bully most characters in neutral. Waldstein is an interesting character. He is a grappler, but due to his long-range normals, he can also play a strong mid-range game. Almost all of his normals are pretty massive and quick for their size, which makes it easier to land hits with him compared to other grapplers. In addition to having incredible range, all of his attacks using his claws will destroy projectiles. To balance out his powerful normals, he has poor movement speed, but he does have all of the universal movement options besides a run. He has good mix-ups with his command grabs, lows, and even an instant overhead with Jump A that works on some characters. He has several command grabs that have long range, including his distortion skills. His reversal action is poor overall despite having many active frames. Waldstein has solid assists for both combo extension and lockdown, which makes him a solid teammate. If you want to try a pretty unique grappler that has strong tools overall, give Waldstein a shot. As the resident masochist of BBTAG, Carmine is a character that trades his own life for power. Most of his moves have Carmine creatively using his blood as attacks. All of his special moves and some of his normals cost some of his health on use. Another interesting mechanic is that all of his specials and some of his normals will leave behind a puddle on the ground that will activate later with certain attacks. An important thing to note is that all of his puddles on screen will be used upon activation. 5A, 2C, and Jump A are the cornerstones of his offense due to their large hitboxes, making them great tools for poking and pressure. His spin special move sends a pinwheel onto the screen to lock down opponents or control a portion of the screen. If puddles were already placed, they will turn into buzzsaws and travel along the ground. Utilizing spin and reverse beats properly gives Carmine a strong pressure game. Carmine's 5B and Jump B are both projectiles that cost some of his health. Pressing B again will create a wall of blood from the puddles. His launch special move creates a low hitting blood crystal at various parts of the screen along with a second crystal if a puddle was placed earlier. While all of these projectiles give Carmine good zoning, it is a risky playstyle as every one of them drains his health. His 6P assist is his spin special. As such, it will place a puddle on the screen and activate existing puddles. Carmine is very self-sufficient with combos and boasts some of the highest solo damage in the game. Carmine is perfect for players wanting to live life on the edge of death. Vatista is a well-balanced character with a strong zoning game. Her normals are solid across the board for mid-range poking and initiating pressure, while 5B can sometimes serve as a decent anti-air, and she lacks a normal with head invulnerability. Her reversal action is her best anti-air due to its great vertical range. Vatista has the unique property of not being able to be put into a counter hit state. This saves her from eating huge damage in some punish situations like the rest of the cast. Her Jump C is essentially a safe overhead hitting dive kick that can be done very low to the ground. It can also cross up if done higher, and holding the button will do a follow-up attack that is unsafe on block. Her special moves are both projectiles to help her zoning game. Miko Ruseo has Vatista shoot a laser beam across the screen. The A version will shoot horizontally regardless of if it was done in the air or on the ground. The grounded B version angles the beam upward, while in the air it angles the beam downward. While these are great at punishing things such as assist calls, they are unsafe on whiff and block. During Lumen Stellar, Vatista shoots an orb at her opponent. The grounded A version travels slowly while the B version is much faster. In the air, she shoots the orb downwards, and then it changes to a straight path along the ground. She has a versatile set of assists that any character can benefit from. Vatista is a great pick for players who want to be able to fight at all ranges and have strong zoning. That's all for this video. Share the video if you liked it and maybe even subscribe. We might do more of these after the other DLC characters drop, so look out for that. Alright guys, thanks for watching.